Actually say?
Yeah, right
Okay,
here
is
when
this
it changes down here, and then
make
it
sure to
says
hit
it's
call
live.
note, record.
Did you press it? No, it's not it's not been liking touchscreen.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I always wonder if there's a delay on this because I know people are waiting, but it still says 0, and it takes like a couple of minutes.
so we take our sweet
for
ass
it to.
time.
Well, no,
around
sometimes
here.
we start immediately, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if people missed that part because it's still saying
No one
0.
wants to hear the intro anyway. They don't really.
Do you want to know who she is? Look, now we have 1 viewer. Okay, now we can start.
Yeah. Now that we have someone.
Look, 2 viewers.
Oh, okay. Hey guys, number 44 of From the Ground Up. Today we have. I forgot the. Oh, sorry. I forgot to say we have shirts for sale. All that stuff. It's nice and soft and it's sweet.
Okay, I'll have my shirt.
I'll stop. I usually mentally make the ad in my head before I do it, and they're usually bad anyway. So there's a really bad ad that I did.
Okay, this is not going the way.
So we're gonna have to start all over for the recorded version.
Okay, well, I don't care about t-shirts because I don't have mine yet, and it's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, we're working on like changing the shipping options so they're cheaper and faster, and they were kind of sucky for a little bit.
Okay, not the shirts.
Not the shirts. The shirts are like super soft and
no one can see your full shirt. Oh. There you go. You gotta sit up.
But anyway, they're super soft and they're fucking cool. If you wanna, they're expensive because they're expensive to make. I know $25 is kind of expensive for some people, but it's because I didn't want to have a shirt. Like I hate those. Fucking everyone's got their shirts printed on those Gildan.
I don't know what that is.
You know, they're usually a little bit rough. Like Gildan's like the cheapest one you can get, or like a Hanes beefy cut or some shit like that. They're like real rough, and you know, I got real sensitive skin. Yeah, I need soft cotton.
Okay.
It's good to know, right? Cool. So we are here with Meghan, MegaConda on Facebook and Meghan Kelley on Instagram and all that stuff. Meghan, can you give us a little intro on what you work with?
I work with mainly green anacondas. I breed them. I raise them all. Some are just pets. So I kind of do everything with them.
Now, do you just have anacondas?
No, I have retics, berms, I have some monitors, and some ball pythons as well.
But the anacondas are the only ones that you breed?
For right now, yes. They're like my main focus, but I do like
on
the side.
Okay. So you're probably going to grow. I mean, a lot of us try not to have animals that you don't breed or have working, you know, just a lot of extra stuff. But as far as anacondas, how many litters have you had since you've had them, or how long have you been keeping them?
I've been keeping them about 9 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've just had my second litter of them. I have a third one coming in about 2 weeks. So the first time I bred them was about 2 years ago. And this is the second time. They were actually born on Friday.
That's wow. Oh, so they're like babies.
They're like a couple days old right now.
So how many times have you attempted to breed them, and how many times, and you said like you've only been successful a couple of times, how many times have you tried to breed them?
Well, the first year I tried to breed, the females didn't want to breed, so that year kind of just went by. And in the second year, I got 2 to breed, 1 slugged out on me, and the other one gave me 5 babies.
What's a typical number for anaconda babies?
It depends on how big the female is and how old she is. A lot of people I know who have bred them got 5 their very first litter out of a first-time female. And then this time, my second time, which was the same female, she bred 2 years apart. She just gave me about 15, 16 babies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that still seems really small for a giant snake, and just a boa constrictor, you know, can have a litter of 40. So are they typically just small litters in general?
They start out small. As the female gets older and she breeds more, they tend to get bigger. Some people get 30 their first time. Other people's, you know, get 5 or less. So it all depends on the female. Like, she was only 10 feet the first time she bred. She's now 11 feet. So it also depends on, like, size.
Okay, it's crazy that 1 foot can make a difference.
Right. That and the male. It also has to do with the male as well. Like
So
how,
in general, the age is a big factor.
yeah.
And
So
do you know for sure how old your female is, or did you buy it as an adult or anything like that?
the one I have is that just bred. She is 8 years old. I think yeah, she's about 8 years old right now. I bought her as a 3-year-old.
Okay.
And then the male I actually raised both my males I raised from babies. So they're 7 and 6.
Is it typical to go, 5 years before breeding? Is that an appropriate age to start breeding?
Well, females usually breed at like 6 years old. Like that's usually the starting point, and they have to be about 9 to 10 feet to breed. Males have to be about 6 feet, and they can breed at 3 years old.
Oh wow, such a big difference.
Yeah, that's what a lot of snakes. It's the males have to be they're younger, so.
And is there a difference as far as once they're adults, as far as are they sexually dimorphic? Are the females bigger than males?
Oh yeah, the females are much bigger. My biggest female, who's should give birth next 2 weeks, she's 12 feet and like 100 pounds. The male that bred her is only 10 feet and like 50 pounds.
Wow, 100 pounds.
So
I
like
can't even imagine. Like I can't.
she's like that thick, and the male is about that thick.
Okay.
So
So is weight a factor for you, or do you weigh them ever?
just see how heavy they are. You don't have as long as they look healthy, you can breed them. You don't want to breed an unhealthy snake because it's most likely not going to breed.
Right.
So you just want to make sure they're healthy. I weigh them just to see how heavy they are.
Yeah, to be able to say like, "Hey, I picked up 100 pound snake," is like.
It's my workout. It's how I get my squat.
Do you have trouble? Do you have anyone that helps you, or do you do cleaning cages all alone?
I mostly do it alone.
Whoa.
I have people like nearby, but they don't really help me. Like my family's always somewhere around. So, but I have some of my like really good friends just kind of like to come hang out, and I make them hold stuff while I clean because it's easier.
Right.
I can't even think about like getting it out. Like I would have to do parts of the body, just slowly like slide it out.
Yeah, like do you just let them roam around while you clean the enclosure and then guide them back up?
No, I have a tub I put them in, or like I said, someone else there. I have them babysit them. But for the most part, I just kind of get their head coming out of the cage and then kind of point it where I want them to go, and they go.
Oh, okay.
Or to pick, kind of just throw them over your shoulder, and you get them like you kind of wear them like a backpack, and it like puts the weight throughout your body, and they don't feel as heavy as they are.
Yeah,
it's like you say that, but I'm like, but it's still 100 pounds. Like that's still.
They kind of like themselves on you and like wrap around your body, so they are like supporting themselves on you. So it's not like you're trying to just like struggle and hold this.
Right, they're not like dead weight. Like
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Is 12 feet pretty typical, or are there some that get a little bit longer? What's a maybe max length for an anaconda?
Well, average size for a female is like around 15 feet. So my females have still grown. My oldest one's only 9 years old, or she's almost 10 years old now. They still grow, but at a certain point they slow down, and when they get to that 15 mark, it usually takes them like probably almost 15 years to get there.
Holy shit!
They grow pretty fast the first 6-7 years, and they start to slow down.
So like anacondas are a long man's game. Like,
yeah, seems like it.
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry,
it cut out for a second.
No, but if you talk, I can't hear.
They can live up to about 30 years, which is normal for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
but just like
crazy.
Waiting on that, I would be too impatient. Like having to wait like 6 years to breed it.
Do you think like there doesn't seem to be many captive born and bred anacondas in the hobby? Is time a factor, or just people willing to work with them? Why aren't there many captive born and bred animals here?
Full of people working with them. I'm not sure why more people don't. I do think it's a patience thing, where people don't want to like grow them up And then there's a lot of people who don't want to sell adults because they want to keep them and do it. So,
Okay, so then that's not continuing it if they're not going to sell them.
right. So,
Huh. So why anacondas for you?
well, when I was like a teenager, I had berms and retics and stuff. And my parents had always been like, don't get an anaconda because like the whole stereotype of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, me being a little smartass, I went and bought one. And then I just started getting more after they found out. So they kind of were just like, oh, well, it's here. And then it turned into like what I have now. And my parents were totally okay with it. I built a snake room in one of my dad's garages. So,
Okay, you have some very understanding parents.
yeah, they are supportive once you kind of do your own thing and show them what you're doing with it. So,
As long as you're like self-sustaining. You know, I have people ask me all the time, like, how do I get my parents to let me get a snake? Maybe don't get an anaconda, but like, as long as you show that you're responsible and you'll take care of it. What kind of enclosures do you have for this? Is it similar to a retic? Are you keeping 6-foot cages or any bigger than that?
I keep them in 8-foot cages. They're 3 feet deep and almost 2 feet high. And then I have like a big water bowl in there, which is different from a retic where a lot of people just have like a bowl in there. I put like a big bowl in there so they can like submerge themselves. So they require more humidity is mostly what it is.
Okay, so you keep a water bowl, you know, big enough for them to totally get in their whole body into.
So
Gotcha. And then what are they feeding on once you're at adult size? An adult female, you're feeding adult rabbits?
yeah, rabbits. I've fed stillborn goats and pigs too.
Ah!
I mean, they're born.
I'm sorry.
So
Wait, what'd you say?
the animals I get are either already dead, like if the goats and the pigs, they're stillborns, so they were born dead. So instead of letting it go to waste, I get them and feed them off. So
Is there like a company that does that? That
Or like individual farmers that
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm sorry, it keeps cutting out. What did you say?
You can find farms and stuff that'll like sell you stuff. Like I have a rabbit breeder. Like she breeds rabbits for meat. So all the ones she like doesn't want to sell as meat, she'll sell to me, and that's where I get rabbits.
Okay, so that could also be like a factor in people, wanting anacondas or can it growing a growing market for it because food isn't
Yeah, but there's a giant market for retics. But
true. And
so I'm just as babies, are these typically docile or are they a little bit crazy as babies?
They can be kind of nippy and bitey. The ones that were just born don't seem to be that bad yet.
yet.
Well, it usually takes them a few days for it to kick in. Dead, they'll be a little bit nippy, but that's when I start handling them more, so they calm down. I usually just leave them alone until their first shed.
Okay, that makes sense. So what do you keep them in the beginning?
There's these little like Vision V18 tubs, so they're like 18 inches long, and they curl up into a ball like this big. So people think like the tubs aren't big enough when all they do is they curl up in a ball this big and sit in the corner. And then I give them a water bowl and everything else. So
Yeah, and they're fine hanging out for a while.
yeah.
Do they are they hard to get feeding?
Sometimes yes. A lot of them start on chicks, which is very hard to get where I live, like live chicks. They can be very, very picky. The last the baby I kept from my first litter of them, she took a year to get off chicks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Some of the other people who stayed in contact with me, who I sold the other ones to, took longer to get off chicks. So it all depends on the snake. One of them started directly on rats, which is nice. And I had a baby I bought a couple years ago start on rabbit pinkies. So it all depends.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. I would think that, you have an animal that's by the water and little babies, and they must be eating birds or something in the wild, but I thought that they would be eating frogs and stuff, so I thought that that's where you would start. Why do you think that they start off on chicks?
I don't know. They do mainly eat birds in the wild. a lot of it's more birds like that hang out around the water. So that's part of it. You can feed them fish too, which is another main part of their diet. I've never tried a frog because some frogs aren't very good for them. It's just easier to get rats and chicks and birds. Like quail, a lot of them will start on quail as well. I've never had them start on quail, but I've helped other people get their starting on quail.
I feel like that's come up a lot lately, even with like corn snakes or other people.
Well, carpets and stuff like that.
We've talked about people.
I think
brought up quail.
Quail's just another readily available like bird that we can feed to. Who is that? The corn snake thing? Yeah, they said
Sarah said that
quail.
too. Yeah. I don't know why, but in some weird part in my brain, I don't want to feed a snake the same thing that I would eat. Like, I like quail.
That's weird.
You? That's what
Wait, what?
You eat chicken, don't you? Because a chick is a chicken.
True. None of our snakes eat that. But you're right. But I don't. Yeah. But we don't eat chicks.
No, but we eat adult
chicks. Or before they turn into chicks, we eat eggs also. So
I don't know.
Your logic's flawed.
It's totally a weird part in my brain where, sorry, just the quail thing. Not like we're ever going to have an anaconda or anything. And thankfully, our corn snakes, we can run the gambit on so many other things. That.
Do you think that the fact that they come out the way they do, a little bit harder to feed, a little bit testy, is it because maybe there's not as many captive born generations?
Probably. Sorry, my dog's banging on the door.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah,
ours do it all the time, and yeah, we can't hear it.
No, I'm not sure why they are like that when they start like that. I mean, like I said, some start with the most random things. Like it took me 3 months to figure out mine wanted rabbits. Like I would feed it everything that was like, it was very hard to find a rabbit like this small for it to eat. So that's why like I never tried it before that. But you can try and feed them anything. A lot of people get them on fish if they're really like troubled, but I don't know why they start out kind of like testy like that.
So do you think there's any like merit to people who believe you can like line breed good good eaters?
I don't know about line breeding for good feeders, because some snakes you can have like the worst feeders as babies, but as adults they'll be like the best thing ever. It's just getting them to eat. A lot of people line breed for like color and pattern stuff, even with like normals. So like with mine, the way I bred mine is I had a really dark looking female and a semi dark looking male, and I bred them together to make darker babies. And then I have like a lighter colored female and a lighter colored male, and I bred them together to make lighter colored babies. So that's kind of how you do it with normals. And then there's also like some of them have patterns, where I have one that has like almost a whole orange face.
Oh wow!
Instead of just like on the sides of their eye. And so
now I think I saw like an albino floating around or something. Are there morphs in anacondas?
There's a few. There's 3 morphs in greens that I know of. In yellows, there's a little bit more. So there's anery for greens, caramel albino, and like normal albino. So there's T positive and T negative. I don't know where the T negative is in the United States. I think it's in Texas. The other 2 are in Missouri.
Oh, they were part of Ben Rennick's collection?
Yeah. There's also one other guy who has aneries.
Honestly, I thought that Kevin McCurley would have them.
No, not yet. You had to import them. So now that we can't import them, there's not many people having them. So whatever was already here, those people got them to begin with.
Oh, so is that part of Lacey that you can't import?
Right.
Anacondas?
Berms or any anaconda or rock pythons.
Oh, so I didn't know that you can't import now. So you can't import any like retics or anything like that from other countries, but you can ship them within the country?
We can, yeah, okay, so they tried to pass a law where we couldn't ship between states, and that lasted about a month before we got it overturned. Like USARC did that.
Mm-hmm.
But because when they passed that law, they stopped importation on them. But just a few months ago, they changed it so we can now ship again within the states.
Wow. What was their like reasoning for?
Well, the reason for the law in the beginning was flawed. The whole concept that they were going off of was flawed in the beginning. It was just fake science to where global warming was going to happen and retics were going to live in New Jersey and all this stupid shit off of a USGS study that said that global warming was going to increase the temperature enough for, like berms in the Everglades.
Migrate.
They were going to go off all the way to New Jersey, even though if the temperatures got that warm, we would all probably be dead anyway. But it's a whole thing.
But how does shipping?
I know it doesn't. For captive-born animals,
right,
it makes no sense.
Right,
That's
it doesn't affect that.
They're going to like release animals, and they can live basically anywhere. They think they can live in Alaska.
Okay.
They'll freeze in like a day.
Yeah, I don't think people know a lot of times how cold-blooded animals work in comparison to regular animals, especially because like berms and stuff like that, like berms get a respiratory if you fuck up like in captivity. Like they can only live in the Everglades. That's why they're there.
Berms can get respiratories very easily. Like I don't know why they're so much like sensitive, so much more sensitive than like retics, where it takes a lot for them to get one. I mean, even anacondas, they can sit in cold water and not get one. But berms, they drop the temperature like 4 degrees too low and they'll get one.
Which is just really weird how there must be something missing as far as how berms are able to live in the Everglades and stuff like that, even though it will drop like 30 sometimes. You have those winter freezes where I'm sure a bunch of them die off, but somehow
they're still surviving there, but in captivity.
Die off when that happens. The babies can find like warm spots in the ground. The big ones, it's harder for them to find like a warm spot. So that's kind of how that works.
Someone said garter snakes will rule the world.
Well, they are everywhere, those fuckers.
Everyone else will die out and they'll be the last surviving one.
It's like I don't know why that whole thing was ridiculous. It's the one time though that like reptile laws got less strict.
It was because
instead of more so.
And they had no like grounds to even create that law, so it got like overturned like immediately as soon as they found like I forget what was the whole deal with it, but there was something where it was like it never was really a law. Like they never actually made it a law. It was just written there.
Okay.
Posted on USARC's like website. I forgot what it was, but that's why. So like everything that was on the Lacey Act became legal because of it.
And why or did that deter you from breeding maybe last year or something like that? Were you worried that your market was changing, or was that not a thought?
No, I always wanted to breed, and like I live in California right now, so there's plenty of people who wanted them in California because you could still sell within your state at the time,
right?
So it didn't really stop me from breeding. And when it first happened, I was in the process of breeding them. Like when the law first went through, like I think it was 2 years ago it happened. I had babies the following fall, and because of the ban, the price on them went through the roof. I was already in the process of breeding them, and people couldn't find them anywhere. I was the only one that year who had them.
Wow. And what's crazy is it's like, prices went through the roof, not for like 50 babies, for such a small
it's
group.
Supply. It's the fact that they're high in the beginning.
Right, because there's only so many. And their clutches aren't that big. And so just imagine like in that ban.
Litters, how dare you, they don't lay eggs.
Okay, excuse me.
Is it... Who else is breeding anacondas? I know Kevin McCurley does, and that's pretty much all I know of.
There's Kevin. There's a couple people in text as well. So there's me, Kevin McCurley. His name's Andy Wickstrom. I think I pronounced his name right. I forget where he is, And then there's one guy in Texas, his name's Blake Wilson. He just had his first litter of them. And then there was someone else. I forget who else. There was one other person that I know of that was breeding them, at least this year, had babies.
It's just so weird that it's like the quintessential snake that everyone thinks of, but there's not many people breeding them. Are there any issues as far as keeping? I mean, like we mentioned with the berms, respiratory and stuff like that. Is there anything that you need to watch out for with anacondas?
Not really. Not really. They're pretty hardy animals. As long as you keep their temperatures right, you're fine. Breeding them is completely different than like any other snake. You can drop their temperatures into the low 70s. That's actually how you get them to cycle. You drop them into the low 70s and then bring them back up during the day.
Oh.
So they're completely different than like pythons where you can't drop them that low. So it's very weird because I'm used to like like he said, my brother was breeding retics and stuff. And like I've also seen other people breed retics and I've been like a part of it. So when I started breeding them, I was used to like pythons. Mm-hmm. So like it was a whole different thing for me to like figure out and learn to do anacondas.
Yeah, it's like pythons take very, very small changes to get triggered to breed.
Just like that, they're ready to go.
Yeah. It's weird that you would think, the Amazon, Central America, stuff like that doesn't swing that much in temperature, but I don't know. They're also in the water all the time, which must affect their temperature. What is, as far as green versus yellow, obviously the yellow are smaller and stuff like that, but I have heard that yellows are more aggressive and more defensive. Is that true?
Yeah, at least from my experience, yes. Like almost every yellow I've dealt with has been nasty and mean and just wants to bite and like musk everywhere. There's been a couple that I have met that are like very nice, but it takes a lot for them to get that way. They just seem to be a lot more angry, and they don't tolerate as much.
As far as handling or keeping wise?
Just mostly just handling, like being out and stuff like that. They're the greens, like it's easy to calm them down, which makes no sense because like everyone thinks they're this big nasty snake.
But I mean, you put a lot of work in to make sure you don't have a giant nasty snake, right? As far as handling
the babies and raise them about. I never like to buy adults. Like I have bought a couple where they're like sub-adults, but for the most part, I try and handle mine every day and just keep them used to people as much as I can, time-wise.
Oh, wow. So you handle every snake every day?
Try to, or at least interact with them. Because I go in there and I check their cages and their water every day. So
even like the over 10-foot ones you handle every day?
I mean, not when they're pregnant, but yeah. I like interact, touch them and stuff so they know, so they don't get like mean and cage aggressive or too much,
Yeah, no, props to you. That's a workout every day. Like,
yeah, that's a lot of.
That's a lot. Like, we don't even touch our corn snakes every day. That weigh.
You could easily, but I mean, like, as far as, do you check water and stuff like that? Is that a big deal to keep fresh water in there?
Yeah, because anacondas like to sit in their water, so they'll shit in their water. So you kind of have to check it every day because they're very known for doing that. So it's a constant struggle of changing water.
That makes sense.
I feel like Ryan talks about that with his retics.
Well, retics are shit.
He's like, just change, just clean this. Oh, Biggie, what?
I hate that for some reason when we talk, we can't hear you and it cuts you off. I don't know why.
No.
That's never happened before.
Probably because I'm on an iPad.
Okay, sorry, I was cutting you off. What were you saying?
Retics like to paint the walls when they poop. Like, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Ugh. Can't handle that. Oh, I had a question and I lost it.
Oh.
I lost it.
What is, an anaconda is fucking...
Like, where are you going?
How often do you have to feed maybe an adult rabbit to a female or a male?
I usually do every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how big the rabbit is. Males will get, as adults, males get them every 2 weeks. The females, like once they get a certain age, overfeeding them will make them obese. Like they are a very girthy snake, but if you feed them too much every week, you're gonna make them obese. So when they're adults, you kind of have to slow down their feeding. Unless you're getting ready for like breeding season, then you kind of want to bump up their feeding just to give extra weight on because they're gonna breed and they don't eat the whole time they're pregnant. Most of them don't. So they still can eat when they're pregnant, but a lot of them won't. So you do want to kind of give them that extra before.
And this is a super basic question, but how long are they pregnant for?
They can go 6 to 8 months.
Whoa, that's a lot longer than all other snakes.
But then you have to factor in they don't have the egg time.
Right.
Basically, it's kind of like getting an egg by the female. So are
You guys keep cutting out.
to oh
You're back.
Sorry, what was that? You guys cut out.
oh sorry. So that whole time while she's pregnant, are you worried about temperature fluctuations? Because I mean, it's kind of like you're incubating inside the female. Are you really paying attention to the temperature at that point?
Yeah, you do want to keep like the temperature the same and stable, because anything too low they'll be underdeveloped. Too high can kill them. So you have to keep it that perfect temperature. So I do go in and check their temperatures every day when they're pregnant, just because you don't have to, but I do just because I worry.
Yeah, no, I totally would when you have all that precious cargo for 8
For
months.
8 months of doing that.
I'm like,
that's
how long
intense.
do we wait for
You know,
ours?
a couple
90
weeks,
days.
a few weeks. But I mean, what hot spot are you trying to achieve?
88 is usually the normal hotspot when they're gravid, pregnant.
That's like a very typical python boa temperature.
Right. So
Which is funny because I feel like everything else, we're like, oh, nothing like all these
Very
other
different.
ones.
What do you heat up your room? Do you keep a higher ambient temperature than normal?
I usually keep the room at about 80 degrees, like 79, 80 degrees.
So, do you have a whole separate room for them?
No, I keep them all in the same room.
Do you have another question?
Yeah. Why did you have something to say?
Yeah, well, mine's kind of different
Go for
topic. It's a different topic though, so I feel like you should go.
As far as like caging and stuff goes, you do the regular heat tape, ambient temperature, all that stuff.
I have heat panels in my cages, but yeah, I mean, they're all hooked up to a thermostat, a herpstat, and so that's basically it. Yeah, this is normal. Everyone kind of cage setup.
Yeah, you don't feel a difference, that there's a difference between belly heat and the radiant heat panel.
No, not really. So I have different rack systems too that I've built. One of them, like the Christmas tree tubs, they have belly heat in them because the heat tape will fall if you try and do like top heat. But all the smaller racks have like top heat, which kind of creates, it's heat tape in there, so it creates like almost like a heat panel type of thing where it's top heat.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't noticed a change in anything. It's all kind of the same. As long as like that end is staying warm enough, you're fine.
Yeah, and I've found that with everything. People always go crazy about belly heat, but I feel you can keep back heat, you can keep radiant heat panels. It really doesn't matter. What was your question?
Oh, mine, I just wanted to know if this is your like full-time job basically, and if it is, what point did you get to where you decided it would be your full-time job?
It's not my full-time job.
Okay.
I spend more money on them than I make off of them. And I just do it because I enjoy doing it.
That's him. Okay. I was just thinking about the amount of time you like put into them every day. I'm just like, that's what made me think it was your full-time job because of all of that. But like, that's even more awesome to you that you do a job and you come home and, handle them every day and do all of that.
Yeah. No, a lot of people think it's my full-time job, but I spend a lot of, like, I come home from work and I go and, like, take care of them. So.
Do you want it to be your full-time job one day?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
What would it take, I guess?
I don't know. It's a lot of work just taking care of them, but you put so much into them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see, like, you making a profit off of it. I just see it as, like, something you love to do.
Right.
Especially,
but wouldn't it be great to do something you love to do all day long?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. It's also nice to, like, not have to take care of something during the day. Or, like, if everything's cleaned and watered, like, you don't have to worry about them for, like, a day or two.
Right.
So that's nice, too. And then you're still making money doing something else.
Like and plus you don't have to have that mindset to where you have to sell an animal to pay your bills and stuff like that. And you don't have shit to clean every day. Like, you can go a week without doing anything, at least with most animals, with snakes in general. Like, you can go on a vacation or something. Sometimes when you have so many animals, it just multiplies.
You can't leave.
Yeah.
So how many in total, I don't think we asked this, snakes do you have?
I have to think about this. Okay, so Anacondas, adults that I have, are like babies that I keep, not including the babies I just had. I had 12.
Okay.
Okay, and then I have about 35 ball pythons.
Wow.
And then about 5 berms. And then personally, I have 3 retics, but my boyfriend also breeds retics, so we're kind of just mixed our retics to, get whatever genes we want out of them.
Okay.
He has a few too.
Okay, if I did my math correctly, we're at 56.
Wow.
Like,
that sounds a lot.
That sounds like a lot for it to not be your full-time job. Like, whoa.
Well, they're easy. I mean, the ball pythons are small, so they take 30 minutes to clean all their cages. Like, it's very simple.
Okay.
The
How many
bigger,
snakes do we
there's
have?
not that big ones. A lot of my other ones are still, like, some adults and babies.
Wait, why did you ask how many do you think we have?
Because you sound like that's a big number and we're right around there. But
I thought we're in the third. I thought we're in the 30s.
Well, I don't really count. We're gonna have 15 pairings, which gives you 30 adults, and then all the babies that you see around you and things that we don't breed.
Okay.
So what? I always see the pictures of the giant monitor you have. What kind of monitor is it?
The croc monitor, the big black.
I want you to.
This is a croc monitor. He's cool.
Yeah, how do you have these giant, seemingly terrifying animals that are really, really docile?
Lots of handling when they grow up.
So did you raise that guy from a baby?
No, he belonged to my friend for the first 4 years, and then I've had him the last 4 years. So.
And what kind of like handling and stuff? Because I know monitors are a lot smarter than our regular snakes and stuff like that. What kind of like training or handling or basically things you do to get him used to you?
Basically, like, you just want to get them, like, used to you, like, tolerating you, so they don't fear you, so they don't see you as, like, a threat, and they just kind of, like, do their own thing. I mean, you still have to be wary because it is, an animal with giant teeth, just like a dog has teeth. You don't get bit, so it's just kind of just working with them, getting them used to you, and eventually they'll just calm down.
So would you say that because you handle them so much that all of your adults are relatively docile?
Yeah. I mean, I handle them as much as I can. Like I said, I try and at least interact with them, maybe not hold them. I try and interact with them every day just so that you get used to, people, and, like, they stay used to people.
Have you ever been bit?
By snakes? Yes.
Wait, what else have you been bit by?
Pretty much everything. The croc monitor hasn't bit me, which is good because they have teeth.
That's very good.
Like that big. It's big. You do not want to get bit by a croc monitor, or
But I don't think people realize lizards in general, like they have, those serrated, tear you apart teeth, not the hold on to you teeth.
They don't bite and let go like snakes do. They'll bite and start thrashing. So you don't want to bite any lizard. Because they don't let go at first. Because snakes will like bite in defense and then let go. But lizards will bite and hold on.
They're trying to eat.
Well, they'll rip you to shreds.
So, have the bites you've taken from snakes, they haven't been that bad?
No. I've seen some pretty bad bites, especially from like male retics, where I've seen them like rip people.
Ryan's was pretty bad.
Yeah, there's been some bad ones.
I don't know if you know. Sorry, just say Ryan. Like everyone knows who he is. I don't know if you know Ryan Sullivan. What's it? Ivory Connection.
He's out of Texas.
Yes.
Well, I had to help clean his collection one time because he got bit by a male retic, and I'll just leave it at that. So you could say it was pretty.
Those pictures were like
legit.
Like I've seen them.
Yeah,
oh, really?
It was bad, and it was funny because we had to do he had to do a reptile show, and so he was just like in the wheelchair the whole time. So he had like us and some other people just like helping him the whole time because he just was not able.
I think it's important for people to realize that there are like consequences sometimes with these giant snakes.
You have to be very careful, especially with like breeding male retics. Those males go crazy during breeding season, and that's when bites normally happen. So that's when you just want to be really wary of them. Like they have teeth, because when male retics, when they bite, they like twist, because that's how they fight. They try and cut each other in half. Like they fight to the death. So that's why you see such bad bites from them.
Because they're like
just when they bite.
You don't see any territorial nature or anything like that from your male anacondas during breeding season?
I haven't. Some people have. Some people, their whole demeanor will change. They'll be like super nice, and then during breeding season, they won't be nice. And there's been a couple where like they don't go back to being nice at all either. Mine get kind of flinchy, where like they don't want to be touched, especially when they're with a female. They kind of just want to be left alone. But they've never shown any aggression.
But do they do that like?
Careful.
They do that like male retic thing where they arch their back or something like that?
They do that. I have one that'll do it just about any time. Then the other one doesn't really care half the time.
Okay, so what's the like the locking up process, I guess, for up process? You knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
You there?
Oh yeah.
See, you broke it by your...
I didn't. No, you trying to cut in on my question broke it.
You're yelling. Sorry. That's why you broke it.
Did you hear my question?
Kind of. It was about how they lock up and stuff.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know how snakes have spurs?
Yes.
They basically, just like any other snake, they use those to tickle the female and try and get under her tail. And then they'll basically wrap up the whole tail end of the female. So
like before that, I guess I really meant. So your question.
So my question was legitimate. How do you introduce males to females? The timing, as far as how long do you keep them in there? When do you introduce stuff like that?
That's what I was trying to ask. But
so a lot of it is during the season too, because they breed in the rainy season. So March to almost June, basically. They'll breed. I start cycling them in March, which is you drop the temperature at night and then you raise it back up during the day. And I do that for about 2 weeks prior to when I want to start breeding them. And then I do the same with the males as well. And then I introduce them. The males I don't take all the way back up because too hot will kill their sperm. But so they only go to about 84 degrees during breeding season. And then they drop down to 75.
Okay.
So then you want to introduce the male once the female has like you kind of see how they are. That's just like when they're ready to go.
Is that just a size thing? Can you see ovulation stuff like that?
You can. I've missed them, the ovulations, because with anacondas, it's hard to catch.
Because they're fat.
Kind of. You can't, they're girthy, so it's hard to tell.
So, what would you tell a new anaconda breeder to look for?
A lot of the times, the females will stop eating prior, but it's also you want to do it during a certain season. You want to do the temperature change, and if you introduce the male, if she like pisses everywhere, she's not ready.
Okay.
So that's another sign. So if you have done all that and you're still not sure, you can introduce the male, and you can tell whether, because she'll tell you. So
you always put the male into her cage.
right, because the male is the one who has to get the job done. You want him to smell everything about her, and the female is always bigger as well, so it's better for both of them.
And easier on you.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it a thing where like you leave them for a little bit, you leave them overnight?
So anacondas can eat each other. They sometimes do. It's kind of rare from what I've seen, but I've never had it happen. But if you know they're okay together, you leave them together during breeding season mostly. I leave them in for a week, take them out for 2 days, try and feed the male.
Oh, wow, a week. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll put him back in for a week. So I try and do like a cycle with them, because reintroducing them is always good. But I have had males left in there, and they'll lock up every single night.
Just keep pushing, keep trying.
It's normal male behavior.
Ew.
I do like to separate them, just to give the male a chance to like relax and have a couple of days to himself.
Oh, now I hear the dogs.
That is Taco, the Chihuahua.
Yep, makes sense. I can tell that from the bark. So do you often run a male through multiple females?
I did the first year just because one of the males was kind of young. And I only had one female trying to breed that year and 2 males. This year I tried to keep them separate because I do have people who want pairs, and I don't want to sell them like brother and sisters.
Okay.
So I do.
You want from separate.
Right. I do try and keep the males breeding to like certain females, but there are sometimes where the female doesn't want to breed. So with anacondas, you can have multiple males in with them, unlike other snakes.
Really? And they won't try to kill each other?
The only thing they do, it's basically they call it a breeding ball, where the males will wrap up the female's tail, and it's like a shoving match. Whoever can get to the revenge first is like the winner.
So is there something like, as far as with carpets, if I have a male that doesn't want to breed, you put 2 males together, they combat? Do anacondas kind of combat?
They don't combat. They just kind of hang out together, and like I said, it's like a shoving match. They just try and like push their way, whoever gets there first.
Onto the girl.
Right.
So then they can't be super angry if they're not even trying to kill the other one who's like, yeah. I don't know. I totally have this totally false stereotype of anacondas in my head, which I blame society for.
Well, I think people get confused. I mean, they're pretty large, but as far as they're much more like a retic, maybe 20 feet, but an anaconda is going to be just much more girthy, right? Maybe the same weight, just
they
shorter.
Heavier, but be shorter too. Because they're not as long and lanky like a retic should be, but they're a lot girthier.
Does that leave them like less athletic? Like a retic's pretty athletic. Is an anaconda
as much? But if you hold one and hold a retic, the anaconda has a lot more power to it. It's a lot stronger. Like, just you can tell. It's hard to explain until you hold it, because a lot of people don't believe me until they actually. For like a 10-foot retic and a 10-foot anaconda, they can be the same girth depending on especially like if it's a male. But their strength it's a lot. They're a lot stronger.
Yeah, it seems like snakes don't just carry around extraneous fat. I mean,
For
that
no
girth
reason.
is probably just all muscle, which is probably such a big difference. Forgot what I was about to ask. But as far as now, I know retics. So like you hold them, they're very attentive. They watch you, stuff like that. As far as ball pythons, they don't give a shit. It's like you're not even there. On the intellect scale, where would the retic be, or
the
anaconda be rather?
I mean, I've had some where I'm like doing stuff in my room and they'll follow me. They're just kind of curious to what I'm doing. Retics, it's mostly a food thing with them when they're kind of like attentive because they think they're going to be fed all the time. Where anacondas, at least mine, seem to want attention. Like I open the cage and they don't strike, they don't do anything. They just kind of want to come out and hang out. Like they're curious about everything.
So you don't see like food aggression from them and stuff like that?
You can. It's not as apparent as like a retic though. Like a retic, you open their cage, it's their food aggression almost every single time. An anaconda, you have to like go like over 3 weeks for just to actually see that.
Yeah, so people aren't familiar with like retics. People hook train them as far as you open up the tub and like they're in feeding mode, so you hit them with the hook and then they know, hey, we're out of feeding mode. Do you ever, as far as training like that, do you have to do anything like that with anacondas, or are you putting your hand in there?
I mean, dumb to say it, but yeah, I put my hand in there because I know my animals, and you can also read their body language at the time. A lot of it is just watching the animal before you do anything. Babies will just bite you and wrap you up. I've had gotten my finger and not wanting to let go, but they get used to it. So I mean, like a retic, I would never stick my hand in a retic cage just straight up because I know how retics are. They are different.
Right.
Just don't seem to have that aggression. I do have one where like if she smells food, you don't open her cage unless you're giving her something. But other than that, if she doesn't smell food, you can pretty much do anything.
Would you say that's the work that you've done with them, or is that the nature of the anaconda in general?
Mostly the nature of them. So, but it is a lot with, like I said, handling as well. So the more they're used to you, like the easier they're going to be in general with basically everything else.
Now, you had one of your pair go this year. Are you expecting the other one to go?
Yeah, she's due, like I said, in 2 weeks. So that's my female that I have. Everyone calls her Puppy. She's due in about 2 weeks.
Okay, so you got 2 litters this year.
Yeah.
I don't like that word. I think of cats.
Live birth is litter, though.
My brain automatically goes to cats.
How disgusting and smelly is it? Once
I've been wanting to ask that.
It's not that smelly, although there is a lot of like goop and blood. Not like a ton of blood, but like it's there and it's apparent.
Is there like there's the sack, right?
Yeah. But it's honestly not that bad. It's just cleaning up because I put them on paper, so you just wrap up the paper. And
Okay. That makes it much easier. Is it like a quick process? Like, does she push out one and then like take some breaks?
So I've never caught her doing it. I just wake up to the last 2 times that it happened. So there's just babies in the cage.
So it's relatively quick, I guess, would be the answer.
No, if she's sleeping, you don't know.
Right, but if it takes 7 hours, it's not like it's a 24-hour process.
I know. I meant like crazy, 15 minutes versus like...
I'm sure it's more than 15 minutes.
An hour or 2. It all depends on like the female and how quickly she, does her business. Like we're pythons, like retics have gone 12 hours laying eggs and others have gone 2 hours. It all depends on like how many babies they're having and how big the animal is.
Can you like see the formation, like the baby in the snake?
Well, can you tell if the snake is pregnant or...
Well, no, obviously it's going to be bigger, so that's how you can tell it's pregnant. But like, can you see individual little bumpies?
They do get bumps. They do get bumps at the last quarter of their body, where you can kind of see where the babies are. I mean,
Okay.
we can kind of see where the eggs are, but you can also feel it with pythons, but you don't really feel it too much when you kind of palpate them, which you don't want to do too hard, by the way. That can hurt them. But no, you can.
Oh,
kind of how
oh,
it is.
you cut out. I'm sorry.
You can see where the babies are, because they do get those lumps, and they do get really, really fat at that part of their body.
See, you were looking at me like it was a stupid question, and it wasn't.
Well, I would think that, I mean, it'd be a little bit harder, but for pythons, you can't really see that much, but you can palpate them, like she said.
Yeah. I was just wondering.
No. But I'm sure you can't tell, hey, this is going to be 12 babies, but can you tell, this is going to be a big litter? Or
you were about to say clutch.
I stopped myself.
No, you can't tell how many there are, but I don't know if you can tell how big it's going to be, because the first time she was pregnant, she gave me mostly slugs and only a few babies, and she had a total of 27, everything included. Wow. And this time she had only 15. I think there's 2 dead ones. So two stillborns, and she looked bigger than she did last time. So they get bigger. It seems like they look a lot bigger when they're fertile babies than they do when they're infertile.
You think the slug was on account of the male, or is it something that you did with the female?
I'm thinking it was the male. I don't think I cooled him enough. But I did try the cycling a lot different this time than I did previous.
Okay. Wait, so what is a slug? I know what a slug egg looks like, obviously, but what is a slug?
It looks like this brown egg-looking thing that's a lot softer than an infertile egg. You can squeeze it and it'll break in half.
So it's still like an egg.
Right.
Even though they do live birth.
Yeah, it looks, it kind of looks like an egg. Technically what they have is an egg, but it's inside them. So it's kind of like how a human has birth in a way.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to envision it. I bet I can Google this later and get a real picture.
It's hard to describe what it actually looks like until you're looking at it.
Right, because I'm trying to think of when we've opened an egg that's a slug, and so is it just the inside of what an egg slug would be?
I've never really opened them too much, but it's a harder looking thing than what the baby's sac would look like because how they're born in that sac. All that, it seems like it's compressed into this hard little egg-shaped looking thing.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up because I really want to know what it looks like. I'm glad we don't have live birth. I'm okay with the eggs, and I'm okay with not waiting 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, but that's a very long period even for an animal that.
So there's other live bear that's shorter
and stuff like that. That there's a shorter period.
Okay, we need to get.
Although there's things like Candoya, which, when I had that ground boa, they're about 9 months as well. So there's
other ones
boas out there that will, that's
What's the shortest live bearing?
Oh, I don't know. Probably garter snakes or something. But
wait, maybe Megan knows.
I have no idea.
Oh, take a guess.
You're not a herpetologist? Come on.
It gives live birth, so and I don't know how a lot of things are, because a lot of venomous give live birth, and I don't know how those cycles go, so.
Yeah. I think a lot of us, we only know what we keep and stuff like that. It's hard to know thousands of species, how they all work.
Yeah, it's hard to know everything.
Yeah, it's like if you know everything, you know nothing because you have to specialize in order to know shit.
Exactly.
So would you, I mean, you don't have any other live birthing species or anything like that. Would you ever consider going into like boa constrictors or any other boas?
I don't know. I don't really have that big of an interest in breeding them. Like I had a boa since I had one. He died recently, kind of like a year ago. I had him since I was like 9 years old.
Wow.
He just
So, I
had
mean,
a bad rat from the place I was getting rats from, and that's what killed him.
really? So what would you consider like, how do you know that for sure as far as
Well, I had
the
two at
rat goes?
the same time with the bad rat.
Wait, you had to what? You
I
cut
had
off.
a die from bad rats like in like the same day. It was a female.
Really?
So I switched. Hold on one second. I fly home tomorrow. I have to check in for my flight.
Okay. Yeah, because that's weird. Because I've heard of people having snakes that die of bad rats and stuff like that, but I never really knew how to make sure you didn't get one, or whether it was like because they euthanized it and they didn't freeze it right away or something like that. Like I wasn't sure
It is
how.
rats have eaten, so like what they have fed the rat or what the rat has chewed on, or like if the animal was like tested on, which has been a thing. So
So you can get a lab rat that's filled up with like
yeah, and if you buy from
Nesta or some shit.
yeah,
That's super weird. I never really considered that people who were producing rats for snake food would also, or a lab who is testing on shit would sell them as snake food or something like that.
yeah, it's kind of messed up. You don't if you order online, you're not exactly sure where your things are coming from.
So you think that was a situation where someone was a little short on stock and kind of came up and sent someone else's shit?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
That is some sketchy shit.
Yeah.
Do you know where you got? Was it a very popular like source you got that rat from?
Yeah.
Does it rhyme with like Brodent Dro?
I'm not gonna say, but sure.
Well, by her laugh.
Does it rhyme? I could go through them all, but I just want to make sure because I get from a pretty big place, but it's here in Texas. So was the rat from a place in Fort Worth, Texas?
No.
Okay, so we're all right.
That'd be a long way for her to order from.
Well, people ship
Or wait,
from all over the country.
Are you in NorCal or SoCal?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in Southern California.
Mm.
So it's crazy that you keep big snakes in a place where it's really hard to get space.
I mean, as long as you have the room for it, I guess.
Are you born and raised in California?
So.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean,
she's from there.
And California has a lot of pretty lax laws in compared to some other places.
It all depends on county and then also city. So like where I live, they allow it. Other places, at least most of the places in California I know allow it. I just don't advertise it still, so like no one knows exactly where I live, and I don't like bring them out to show people.
So. Oh, okay. Sorry, I won't ask any more questions.
Yeah. I kind of do the same shit,
but you're bad at it because we have some stuff we're not supposed to.
Well, don't say that now. Fuck.
Just don't say what it is.
Yeah, no one knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
But you're bad at not putting. You literally have Dallas, Texas on your Instagram. Like,
right, but I don't put.
You don't have our address.
But I mean, most animals are legal. The only ones that I have that may and are things that are just illegal for no reason.
Okay, well, the more you talk about it, the more obvious
we're making it weird, aren't we?
Is it's gonna be.
Texas is pretty easy to get like a license for stuff, isn't it? Like venomous and stuff.
Yeah, it's not anything like that.
Let's talk about the licenses. You probably should have.
There's like licenses to keep. There's licenses to breed. For retics, you need a license. in California, do you need a license to breed or keep retics or anything?
No, we don't.
Venomous, are there licenses?
You need a permit to own them, and it's usually a permit for like to display them, like a zoo type of thing, or you can get like a permit if you're gonna use the animal for like the movies or something, which I know a lot of people who do that. But to have one as a pet, you can't have one like at all.
Oh,
So you can't keep venomous. You need some type of way that you are using them.
Yeah, basically.
And is that just kind of, I mean, an easy loophole? You can say like, hey,
It's
give them out to
no,
this, or
it's not easy to get them because they inspect everything. So there's no like real loophole to get them unless you're getting them illegally.
okay? Because I thought maybe it was like someone used them once in some commercial like photo shoot or something, and then you can deem them all to be used for commercial use.
No, you have to renew it almost every year. So
oh wow.
I mean, in a way, like that kind of makes sense. Like,
In a
not
way,
everyone
I
should have
agree.
venomous snakes.
I kind of agree.
I mean, you can go and like catch rattlesnakes. You only need like a fishing license to do that in California. But if you get caught with it, it's a whole nother story. Like it's not technically illegal, but if you get caught with it, they're gonna take it. So, but
Which makes sense.
I catch them. I usually just move them off the road, but I go and like find them. It's fun to do if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I don't.
If you know what you're doing.
What like gear do you wear or use?
Snake. I just have a snake hook and usually jeans on. So I mean,
Cool.
I mean, rattlesnakes are easy. They only have like very obvious instincts.
yeah, that's like gonna kill you.
I mean, you have like Mojaves down there. That would be a shitty bite to get.
Yeah, we have green Mojaves, green speckled red diamondbacks. Just we have a bunch of different.
So much shit.
Yeah.
See, here we supposedly have a lot of rattlesnakes, but you never see them really. West Texas, even I drive through West Texas, and there's not. I don't see them on the road.
Pacific rattlesnakes. It's like the majority of what I find.
That cut off. I'm guessing you said Southern Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no reference to what that is, but you do.
Yeah.
There, I'm just like venomous. Nope. Bye.
And then I mean, like the Veridis is gonna be. I mean, that's a little kid's rattlesnake, really.
What? What is a little kid's rattlesnake?
It's not that dangerous.
No.
And then you get into Mojaves. It's kind of weird because of the neurotoxin, hemotoxin thing. But
anything that can hurt me is dangerous.
That's another thing. Like I was the Gila monster thing. Can you keep Gilas in California?
We can't at all. You can't.
Is there any place you can?
Texas.
Texas, you can have them just about every state except for California and Arizona because they're native, so we can't have them, and they're endangered. So there's that aspect to it.
Oh, so there is a native. There's a native law there. As far as when I lived in New York, you couldn't have anything native to New York. So it's like even a garter snake you couldn't have.
Kind of. It depends on what it is. So the Gilas we can't. I mean, you can have a California king snake. I mean,
which I want so bad.
I want a rubber boa, another California
No,
snake.
those are gross. I don't like their heads.
Oh, sorry.
They look like
wieners?
I'm not gonna say. No, not even that, but close. What you put on
dildos? Condoms. They look like what?
Or like a dildo. They look like dildos.
They feel like them too.
Ew, why do you know what a dildo feels like? Gross.
Well, I can assume what it feels.
But a California king, yeah. So, like, do you go out and see those?
Yeah, I mean, you find them. You find them all the time. You find.
Let's go to California and steal me one.
Well, they're all different localities. So the locality in Southern California, Are they? They're not like banded animals, are they? What is the phenotype there? Do you know?
I have found banded ones. I don't remember what else I found. There is a couple. It depends on where though, because like the different parts of Southern California tends to have different ones. So like, I know people who have caught like striped out ones, and they're like an hour away from where we found banded ones. It's just weird. So I'm not really sure how that works out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, I mean, people who are in the Cali locality, king snakes, but yeah, they're all like, it can be a few miles away and they tend to look a certain way in comparison to others.
Didn't we get into that last time with what was it with Eric, where there was some species that was really intense on localities and it'd be like 0.1.
Yeah, gray banded king snakes, which I guess is still in king snakes. So.
Right, like something about king
Maybe
snakes.
there's
People
something
are
to say
super
there.
in the localities, for unnecessarily so, in my opinion.
But I mean, California was like the start, is like the big market for snakes as far as like where all snake people are. It's like California, Texas. Like those are the two as far
Do you
as.
feel lucky to be in California, to be surrounded by so many snake people?
Yes and no. I don't like a lot of them.
Okay, that's a conversation for after the podcast is over.
There's a lot of people, so there's like a lot of drama that happens. Even if you try and like avoid
Oh,
happens because there's so many people trying to do.
I can't wait to hear this. I love drama.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's another conversation.
Who are
It
the
happens
people
everywhere.
when you think California and the biggest breeders? Who are the three people that come to your
Well,
mind?
like since coming from Colubra days, it's like people that don't even breed. It's like Bob Applegate.
He doesn't exist anymore, really.
He exists.
Well,
he's living. I think he
that's not
breeds
what I
some stuff,
meant.
but he's a California guy who breeds pyros
Okay,
and
that's-
Cali Kings and stuff like that.
That's one.
There's like all the Colubras. There's an Applegate line for all of them. He's just a guy in California who, a lot of the back in the day in the 70s and shit, people were working from wild caught animals. So he got all the Cali, the Arizona, New Mexico animals, stuff like that, all the stuff in that area, and started in like the 80s or something. So 70s, 80s. So
Okay.
oh, I don't know.
When you think
Not off the top of my
California,
head,
the
man.
three top. Well, you
I don't
said
know.
there's,
Ask Megan, she knows
but
more.
you're the one who said there's so many people.
There
there.
are. I think other people, but it's new people that don't have that big of a footprint.
I mean,
Still name
Like Dan. Oh yeah, but I don't even want to start.
Okay.
Okay, Dan who?
Dan from DM Exotics. Dan Malari.
Oh,
from
yeah,
DM
Apple.
Exotics. Yeah, and then there's a few people in San Diego. I can't think of
Wait,
anyone
do you
else.
know Dan?
Dan who?
Malari from DM Exotics.
Yeah.
Married to Apple.
He's always at the shows.
You're
Like-
obsessed with fucking Apple.
Because her name's Apple. Of course I'm obsessed with her.
Wait, say that again.
I know him. We're not like friends, but like we know each other from the shows and like just being in California.
So do you vend a lot of shows?
I used to. I just go to the shows, but I don't really just have animals to sell, so I don't vend them. I just go to hang
What are
out.
your thoughts on the California shows?
Yeah, I was wondering about Pomona in general, or in specifically rather.
The January Pomona show is like one of the biggest ones. Like it's become one of the biggest ones. Like it didn't used to be. There's points where you can't walk through the aisles because it's that packed, and a lot more people are vending more and more each year because it is getting bigger. So it's a fun time. I mean, if you have like a booth or like your friends have a booth, you can hang out for the day. But like walking around the show, is kind of a nightmare because there's so many people. But there is a lot of stuff to see there, which is cool.
Yeah, I hate the crowded feel.
He always wants the VIP to get in
It's
an
so
hour early, but I bet
early
even like
and just-
VIP there is nuts.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
It's like it opens before everyone's like finished setting up. So people are still setting up when the VIPs come in.
Right.
So it's not as bad. It's just people don't have a lot of time to talk to you right at the beginning because, if you're a VIP, you're still kind of setting up.
Yeah, I think it's just best to know someone to be working a table at most of the
Yeah,
shows.
the best is knowing. Yeah. So, do you feel, I'm assuming it's this way. Do you feel that in most of the California shows that you go to that like ball pythons still rule the world?
Yeah, oh yeah. Ball python.
Oh
It's
yeah.
everywhere. It's like every other table, it's a ball python table. So
Do you think that'll change? We've talked about this with other people, but it's just always nice to hear someone else's opinion. Like, do you think that'll change? What do you think it would take for that to change?
there's a lot more people getting into retics. And there's a lot of retic people in California too. Than especially the Pomona show or the super shows. So there's been more retics at shows like in the last year or two, just because more people are like getting into it. They're kind of becoming the new ball python market.
I like that.
But it's also like, I don't know. What's your opinion on that? Because I think that there's like a few people qualified to keep retics.
People like shouldn't own retics or breed them because they don't know what they're doing, or like they don't know how to incubate eggs, and like there's just a lot of people who like should really get more experience before getting into it. Because a lot of people like to buy adults and then just try and breed them, which doesn't always work out the best.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's looking for a shortcut. I mean, people should probably breed like ball pythons first or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I bred was an anaconda, but so at least start out with something small and get used to like how something grows big.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to be like, hey, people don't do this because we've all done the things that you're gonna tell someone not to do. So it's like,
I just think, well, I mean, I grew up owning snakes, so I had ball pythons, boas, like pretty much everything growing up. So as I got older, like I got used to like how things got bigger and like how to work with them. But from people who are just starting out, like don't jump right into something huge. Like at least start with a baby and get as much information as you can about it and grow with it.
right.
Or start with something small that's going to stay small.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird thing because you never know who's gonna be the person who sticks with something. I mean, you give someone a retic and like 10% of those people are gonna see it through completion. Like the other 90% are gonna grow out of it. That goes with any snake, but
Right. It all depends on the person, but yeah.
like you could have given any of us any snake to start out with because we were interested in snakes and never lost the interest. Some people lose the interest a lot easier.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I've seen people, even like people who are into snakes, lose interest in a certain species within like 6 months. So it all depends on like that person.
Yeah, and it's like even if you do stay in snakes, sometimes you lose passion for the species. I mean, for me, I've gone through species as far as I used to have ball pythons, don't anymore, corn snakes, carpet pythons, all that stuff. So I've done all those things, so I can't say anything.
When I was younger, I was starting to get into ball pythons, and I got into the bigger snakes. Now I've also kind of gotten back into ball pythons because like the morphs, what they can do with them is a lot more than you can do with other snakes. Like they're a lot brighter. There's more colors and there's more mutations to them. There's a lot you can do. It's a lot to like relearn because if you get it, you kind of lose it.
Yeah, yeah, because new things happen all the time.
Right.
But I mean, as far as retakes, you got such a good possibility of hitting things. As far as if you have hets, like you have 40 babies to get the visual out of.
Yeah, you have a higher percentage of getting what you want out of it, which is cool. But then at the same time, if you get like a posset and it doesn't prove out, you're stuck with like these random babies that are very hard to sell.
Mm-hmm. I feel like even if you get one that is a het and you make something super rare, you automatically make it not rare because you just made 30 of it.
It also, you kind of have to like in a certain way you have to keep your supply and demand, so you gotta like keep those back, kind of like what Bob did with the pies. He didn't sell them all at first. he kept back like a bunch of them before he started selling them.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because once you breed a pied to a pied, then you made 40 pieds, so it's like you
That's a shit
automatically
ton.
have so much more.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, but
Do you find it so much easier that you have an animal that people still like the natural form of?
it's easier. But then I'm very picky who I sell to at the same time. So if I don't think you can take care of it, I won't sell to you. So
So
it's
do you
like
have like a vetting process?
kind of. I mean, I try and see if they have experience with at least large snakes, and I also have to ask like where they live because some places I can't sell a large snake to legally. I can't.
Okay.
So there is like this vetting process where like, I just have to ask a bunch of random questions just to try and make sure they know what they're getting themselves into.
And is the growth rate like I know when retics are sold at shows, Ryan always tells people, hey, this will go through 3 cages in a year. Do anacondas grow that fast?
No, they're very very slow. They're a lot slower.
We talked about this.
You can get a retic to 10 feet in a year if you want, if you feed it enough. Where an anaconda, you can feed it just as much, but it's going to be a quarter the size. Like I have a
You gotta.
slow.
It's a waiting game with anacondas for sure.
No, yeah, we went over that, but
Yeah.
I was wondering as far as I mean, I know breeding maturity may be different than the rate of growth.
Okay.
That's all.
2-year-old that I produced 2 years ago. She's 4.5 feet now, and they come out at 18 inches usually.
So wait, you can still keep that animal probably in a CB70 or one of those big blood python tubs.
Yeah, she's in a CB70 right now. So
Cool.
Okay. My question is kind of narcissistic. But okay, so y'all were talking, like producing some snakes that are hard to sell because they're just. I came in halfway in the conversation, but y'all were talking about that. But do you feel like selling a Meghan Kelley snake? I don't know how to ask.
Does that hold some weight as far as
do you feel like it held weight? And I know that makes you be like kind of narcissistic, but
because of the reputation I have, people want. I mean, this happens with anyone who has like a good reputation in the hobby or a big reputation. People want something from you because they trust your quality of it and like what you do with it before they get it. So like they'll trust you instead of some random person. Even if they can get a better deal, they're unsure of that animal because they don't know like that person. So if you have like a better name in the hobby or a bigger name, people tend to trust you more because of how you show you take care of everything.
I think that's just marketing in general, which is so common in the reptile hobby that like 90% of the people try to sell. They produce so many animals, but they don't market at all. So when they go to sell, no one buys them. So it's like, you have to market your animals because people are going to buy from Meghan and not from a lot of the other dudes that we mentioned because people don't know them. So it's like, it's a big deal. And as far as like your social media, like you don't even tag stuff or anything like that on Instagram. Like how have you built social media?
I have no idea. I started out just posting like my pet anacondas. Like I had no intentions of breeding at the time. I had like 2 when I started like posting them on Instagram. And then it just kind of kept growing. I think it was because I was a girl who was into like big snakes. I do have other big snakes. I think that kind of just fueled it. And then when I did start like actually treating it kind of like as a business aspect, where like I started breeding them, I grew up all my things. Like if you go back, you can see how I grew up all my animals. That's kind of when the followers started coming in. It's just I just kind of turned it more business than just pets.
So how long have you been, I guess, hitting Instagram hard?
Actually, I've kind of pulled away from Instagram a little just because I'm tired of like the idiots. But I mean, I just post pictures, and it just kind of just took its own course. I never really like tried to do anything.
But you're like the only, because you're saying it's because you're a girl who likes big snakes, but all the other girls who are popular like post kind of like slutty pictures and stuff, and you don't at all.
Have to go there.
Well, I'm gonna be honest.
Suggestive
pictures. But it's like you've built just as big of a following without having to be
just
like
being like a person who likes snakes.
I have no idea. I don't.
Okay, we're basically just trying to figure out how to get 60,000 followers because that's what we want. So
I just, like I said, I just started posting pictures of my pets, and like it turned into what it is, and it just kept growing. I never tried to do anything or any of that. So
damn, that's not helpful, Megan.
I mean, the attention works for some people, but I never tried to do it that way, and it's just not who I am. So.
Yeah. I don't know. We're always trying to grow our
trying
brand.
To have like the animals first because like I don't.
Which we do, but clearly it's not working for us like it worked for
God.
her.
Well, she's been doing it a lot longer than us.
I mean, I do have other
yeah
Instagrams for like the ball python part of it because I'm doing that with my boyfriend. That is taking a lot longer to grow, but tagging does help.
Yes, shit, I lost my thought.
No, I think.
I was saying like anacondas are going to get more attention than corn snakes
or ball pythons, even.
Or that's the thing. Like the stuff we post isn't like the biggest snake or the most popular. Like the ball pythons are the most popular, and like anacondas are the bigger ones. So like we don't have that.
We got lame snakes.
No, I love our snakes, but they're not the biggest or the most popular.
Market, yeah. Now this is a question that we asked. We had a female on our last show. Is there any difference as far as you feel being a female in this industry than say even your boyfriend?
Yeah, it's a lot creepier.
That's what Sarah said too. I don't know if you know Sarah Moore.
She's a corn snake breeder, but
so probably not.
I don't know who she is. I recognize the name though.
She runs what's the
Sarah
group?
Snake Shop?
No, on Facebook.
Corn Snake ID group.
Yeah, Corn Snake ID group.
Okay. Yeah, being a girl in the hobby is a lot creepier because you get guys
asking
constantly like asking if you want to see their snake.
Yeah.
Or you get the pictures you don't want to get. That's happened. Then there's.
Are there more like Are there more corn snakes or like anacondas?
Ew! I didn't even get that at first. Ew. It's gross.
Are they melanistic, albino? What is going on?
Stop.
They all have one eye though.
See, that makes me sad.
It happens.
I mean, not like I'm surprised because that's how men act in every other freaking industry. But
it bugs me the most when people say my anaconda don't, because it's like
that Nicki Minaj song.
It's constant, so it's really annoying. I actually have it written in like my bio for Instagram. I was like, stop saying it. Stop.
Like, do guys think that that's like a way to introduce themselves, like a slick move?
I mean, everyone kind of says it, but guys will try and do it in like a flirty way, which is really, really annoying. And I'm just like, can you just go away?
Do you try to answer like every message on, well, obviously not those, but like every other message on Instagram? I can only imagine how many you get in a day.
I try to if it's like a serious question, or a lot of it is just like people saying something about like the picture of the animal. But if someone has a question, I do try and answer them. Like the best I can. There's also a lot of people who will answer it before I am able to answer it. So, and if they're right, I kind of just leave it at that.
You get a lot of people who aren't right but want to give their opinions on things.
So I'll try at that point. I'll try and correct them and like give them more of an educated answer. But There are some people who like are correct in what they're saying, so I just leave it.
Yeah. And I mean, Sarah said that she feels that she's been in the industry like 6 years or something, but she's a female, so she feels like guys are taking a little bit more serious, even if they've had less time in the industry.
Yeah, so much so. Like, I mean, I get shit all the time just because I'm a girl with bigger animals, and people, you know, try and tell me I'm not strong enough to do that, or I don't know what I'm doing, and it's like the industry is very like geared towards how guys. Where if like a girl comes in, it's like what she doesn't know what she's doing. She's an idiot. Like it's that type of mentality.
Yeah, which I mean is just so stupid in anything. I mean, especially because you think about it as like snakes, they don't care whether you're a male or a female.
No. But it is more common for guys to be more interested in it than girls, it seems. Or at least they're more open about it, I should say. Because there are a lot of girls in the hobby who do enjoy the animals. And then but you never see them as much as you see all the guys into it.
Do you feel like there's an increasing like female base of keepers and breeders?
Yeah, now there is. I mean, when I was younger and like when I started out, not so much.
Yeah. I think it's all kind of shifting. I mean, just the online world in general makes it less weird. Like snake keeping used to be like back in the day when everything was wild caught, people didn't captive breed, and like the guys who were selling things like barely knew what their snakes were, and it was a very like dark side of like an underground thing. I feel like now everything's like coming to light and things are normalizing. I hope.
Yeah. There's a lot more people who are like getting educated on the animals instead of like fearing them, and like social media has kind of helped with that. So that's a good point of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's you know, some people who are held in high regard out there. Some that you've mentioned already that like are the biggest names in the hobby and people that see out there the most. How do you feel that, you know, people on YouTube and stuff like that affect our hobby? Do you think it's good, bad, and different?
I just like that you're talking very general, but we all know who
we all know
who you're talking about, but you're going very general, but it's okay.
You're talking about Brian, right?
That and like also Jay, because you had mentioned Jay before, so
I mean, I know Jay like personally, like I've known him for a long time. He's nowhere near as bad as Brian. Like I do have videos with Brian on his channel. It's just it was different when I did those videos with him. Now it seems he's all towards like attention and like getting views and stuff, and like a couple of years ago it wasn't that bad. Like he wasn't trying to get views, it was trying to get like something
education.
Because like when he did the first video with me, it was around the time that Eaten Alive show came out, and he contacted me wanting to do a video kind of going against what that show was and showing how the animals can be nice and like, you know, try and actually educate people about it. So that's why I did that with him. But now it seems like he's just all about getting views.
But he was also doing a classic YouTube trick where it's like you take what's popular at the moment and then you
feed
tag
off of
stuff
it.
like that.
Right. Yeah, he's still kind of doing that. But
Yeah. But it's like I would hope from his perspective, he wanted to talk to you about your anacondas just for you and your anacondas.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, though, if you go back and watch the video, it is the whole video is based around like my animals and how I raise them and like take care of them and like why they are so docile and how they're not like, you know, these man eaters everyone thinks, because everyone does think that like they are these man eaters and they're not. So when we did that video, it was just kind of showing like the real side of them and how they can be with like proper care and handling and like all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like it was legit because it was such, if people don't remember when that came out, there was like a show on Discovery Channel, Eaten Alive by an Anaconda. A guy was going to get eaten alive by an anaconda.
You keep adding a D in that word.
Anaconda?
Yeah,
Anaconda?
You keep saying Anaconda.
Oh, well, I don't, Anaconda is what
there
I'm
you
saying.
go, yeah.
Oh, well, it's like...
Sorry.
but it's like there was such a firestorm and people in the hobby going crazy that it's like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Even if he was tagging along on something that was popular, it makes sense to properly educate people, even though he made a show on Discovery Channel like a year later. But
I want to go see this video. Wait, do you know the exact name of it?
I mean, I can send you the link to it.
Oh, yeah, that makes my life easier. Yes. But that's cool that she was on Brian's show. Like, that's...
Did that get you a lot of hits as far as social media and videos go and stuff?
That did. The whole Eaten Alive thing just in itself did, because everyone knew me as, you know, the girl with anacondas, like nice anacondas. So that kind of drew everyone towards my page because of all the anacondas and just like the similarity between it. Like, I even got tagged in some of his pictures, or like, you should check this girl out. Like, she knows what she's doing. You're an idiot. Like, the guy who was trying to, I think his name is Paul something. He's the one on that show. So.
But he was like trying to say he was gonna conserve the Amazon by getting eaten alive by an anaconda or some shit.
Anaconda?
And is that what I'm saying? Anaconda.
I'm
sorry. Shoot, totally lost my question.
Do you feel like that set you behind that in that specific show?
No, but it bumped her ahead.
But it didn't. So, like, a lot of people saw that as, like, reality, where, like, an anaconda could eat you. It did get me more attention just because I have a nice anacondas, but a lot of, like, the normal people who aren't into reptiles saw it as, like, a thing to, like, kind of tell me that you can't, to those people, you can't, like, educate on, like, no, like, that's not how they are. Like, they're kind of set in their ways once they see that show, which is
yeah,
just like the movie. Everyone thinks the movie Anaconda is real, and everyone,
it's real.
Me too. So
wait, what?
The movie Anaconda, everyone thinks that's like a documentary, and so like, people come up to me like, "Won't it eat you? Won't it get like 60 feet?" And I'm just like, "No, like, don't watch that show. Don't watch the movie. Don't watch any of that. Like, it's all wrong."
Yeah, I mean, I think people think in the movie the snake was like 50 feet and like was
Do
going
people
after
also
people.
believe like snakes on a plane? Like, are we to that level?
Those are real snakes on the plane, man.
Yeah, that was, well, a lot of those were real snakes. Some of it was like CGI though.
But that's a guy in California. I think he lost like 25% of those colubrids he lost in the set. So he never found those. So
wait, what?
I know who that was, who did that, whose animals those were.
See, it really is cool to live in California.
Yeah, but
that's not how I know him. He's my second cousin who does all that. He's my dad.
Okay.
Well, it's his animals. The people working on it, I don't really know them too much, but like, it was, you know, that guy and his partner doing it. So that's how I knew him. But I grew up going to his place, like seeing all his animals and all his venomous, like alligators and stuff. Like, he has the permits for all the stuff we were talking about earlier. So it was just cool. That's kind of how I stuck with reptiles. Like, I was seeing it once in a while, and I always grew up with, like, you know, the small snakes and lizards and stuff.
So wait,
once you put a corn snake or a milk snake on a set, it's gone, man. You're never gonna find it.
Well, I was about to ask, like, is that rumor true that he lost 25%?
I don't know that exactly. I mean, I'm sure some got lost, but they weren't really gonna survive depending on like where they were. I don't think they lost that many, to be honest, because they do keep very good track of their animals. I don't know. So.
I don't know where I heard. That's hearsay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your question?
No, I'm just still thinking of how cool it is to live in California in the snake
then,
world.
like, I know Jay had that monitor that was on that Disney show.
Yeah.
Wait, was it on you wouldn't know.
I know it
was. It the one set in New York where it was like
it's
the
Wizards
nanny
at Waverly Place?
Oh,
right?
is that one?
It was.
No, it might be Megan.
No, it was like was Jessie. It was the girl was the nanny to the little Indian
Megan
kid.
knows, but we're talking bullshit.
It's that show Jessie something.
Yes, yeah. Because the little Indian. That's wrong. I shouldn't say that. One of the children had a pet monitor. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
That
So there's
called that lizard a girl in the show, but in reality, it's a male. Very big male.
interesting. See, fuck Hollywood, man.
Do you find that, I mean, have you been asked to be part of these kinds of things before?
Not me, but I've had animals be part of it and stuff.
So you've donated or like had anacondas or something in some type of movie or some type of setting like that?
Not exactly a movie or anything, but like music videos. I've done news things with them to like promote the reptile shows there too, like certain reptile shows. Um, I mean, I've been on TV a couple times with them too, so it all depends on like what's going on and who contacts you for it.
True. Someone asked, what is your favorite snake in your collection?
Mine,
Mhm.
I have two, and they're both anacondas. Puppy, my biggest one, because she was my first anaconda, and she's like this. She's a sweetheart. And then the second one I bought, his name's Blue, and he's my biggest male. He's also like puppy dog tame. He's just like he's really really cool and calm. Like everyone seems to love him the most because he's also very handleable because he's smaller. Like my boyfriend never liked anacondas, and then he's like he loves that one. So
He's the introducer snake. I guess that's not a word. Introducer.
Was your boyfriend was into snakes before?
yeah, he's been breeding retics longer than I can remember.
It's weird how you would think that would be such an easy transition, but like, you know, a large snake to a large snake, but a lot of retic guys are very into retics, I guess just because they take up so much space.
Yeah. A lot of retic guys are also into like berms too, because they're very similar.
I feel like those go hand in hand.
Kind of, yeah.
I feel like, I mean, at least everyone I've met who has retics has berms too. So, I don't know. I'm trying to convince myself that I don't want one. But I kind of want one. But the whole shitting all over.
Oh, the retics?
Yeah.
They're fun.
I mean, just I've held a lot of Ryan's babies.
But a baby
is obviously way different.
Right.
But I really I've said this before. I really just want to have it for like a year or two and then give it back. That's I have no interest in like breeding them or anything. Like, but they're really cool. And like Ryan's like what? Like what's the like dreamsicle? Is that, or am I making that up?
You were at a albino. You had a white albino, a regular albino.
What's the one he didn't bring it to the show? You posted it though.
Ultra Ivory, blah 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 blah.
A bunch of shit we don't know.
Ultra Ivy, Golden Child, blah blah blah.
I don't know either.
So what are your future projects? Like obviously, you know, like you're focusing on your anacondas right now, and you were talking about like the darkers and the light. Like, what are your future projects
for anacondas? I have one with like
or just in general across your collection.
I mean, I'd eventually breed everything I have, just because I have like, you know, males and females, and like I have morphs that will go together and look really really nice as babies. I'm not really in a rush to breed any of those though. Like I said, I'm mostly focusing on the anacondas. So, but I do try and like in a way line breed them, so like I do get cool looking babies, even though they're normals. They're like different though. Like I have one female that has, like I said, the bright orange face instead of just
right.
Red. I want to try and get a baby out of her that looks like her. So that's like my next goal, is to breed her and see what happens.
Would you ever get a corn snake?
I've had corn snakes.
Oh,
everyone's had corn snakes.
Okay.
How exciting is it compared to an anaconda?
Right, nothing. It's
so.
I mean, I understand. Once you go big, you don't go back.
I mean, I'd get into hognoses because they're cool.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a sore spot for me.
We have hognose, and she does not like them.
Why?
They're
'Cause
not
they're
like
bitches.
they're not like regular snakes. They're very different.
They are just annoying. I just
The
I
ones
not
the ones I've dealt with
sorry.
are
You,
not annoying or bitchy at all. I mean, I do have
we've had other people say they have other experiences, but
I have one right now that belongs to my friend who she bought it about 5 months ago now and hasn't been able to get it to eat on its own. So I've been like helping her get it eating.
see, they're picky too.
Yeah. So we've
What
been
have you tried?
frogs, toads, pinkies. Tried eggs. I've tried everything. I've had success with like getting the pinky in its mouth and then it kind of eats it from there. But it won't like strike or eat it on its own just yet. So it's getting there.
Have you tried? Well, I guess you've already tried all. I was about to suggest reptilings, but she's tried everything that goes in a reptiling, like with frog toad.
What I have to still mostly for my male is always tuna scented. So
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet, but I have heard that helps too.
they're just kind of a pain in the ass. They're not like regular colubrids when you get them eating. They always eat and everything's good.
Yeah.
They're just
They're so
off and
annoying.
on and all
Also,
over the
if I
place.
walk within fucking 10 feet of their tub,
They
they're
hiss and strike
hissing
the
at
side
me
of the
and
tub.
just like injuring themselves by hitting the tub for no good reason. I'm nowhere near them.
That experience.
I'm not. Oh. Well, maybe his are special, but they're so annoying.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for the babies we make from them.
Yeah.
We are gonna breed them this year, and I think those will be cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get snows, and we'll keep snows.
Yeah, snows. I like how snows look. I really like a lot of. I don't know if you know JMG Reptiles, but I like a lot of his hognose.
Okay, yeah, I've seen them online and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see if the babies come out as annoying.
As far as like ball pythons, what genetics are you working with?
A lot of banana, clown, some pied stuff. I mean, there's a mixture of everything else in between, like lesser, pastel, orange dream, like all that stuff. Spider. So it's just a mixture of everything. I'm mainly focusing on like the clown banana stuff because I like those the best.
What range are you with them as far as do you just have hats or do you have a visual clown to a banana? Or?
I have visuals of just about everything.
Oh, okay. So you're a little bit further ahead in the
That's
project.
the way to go.
I'm trying not to talk over her.
Yeah, you can talk. I don't know. I mean,
I know we're like pausing so it doesn't cut out and we talk over, but then we don't know whether to
They're
ask
like,
another
damn.
question.
Retics, where are you as far as how old are your retics and what do you have?
like mine or like my boyfriend's because we kind of breed them together. I have adult males.
Oh, so it all blends.
What?
So it all blends together.
Kind of. I mean, there's OGS stuff like orange ghost stripe, anthrax stuff. Then you get all the motley golden childs, all that in between. Phantom tigers, gold. All that. Sunfire.
Yeah.
We have a mixture of like everything. So
What is something you don't have that you want?
I want a Mochino Motley retic. I just love how they look.
Mochinos are cool.
I shouldn't ask that question because
Ryan
I
has
don't
a
know what you're
Mochino.
talking about. So I don't know what that looks like.
Mochinos are.
I can make the Mochino Motley if I really wanted to. So
I will Google it right now while you ask
Go
another
for it.
question.
Yeah, the
dream snakes is the albino anaconda. Like I want one of those in my lifetime.
how much are those and
There's
is there anyone producing visuals?
Ben was I don't know. I don't think the female had any babies though yet. So whoever's breeding his stuff now will probably try to breed them again. But there's only one caramel albino known still, and there's one albino, and I think just the T negative. I don't think they're planning on breeding that one. But Ben was trying to make snows, which is the anery caramels. So if anything, it's going to be from his animals.
That would be fucking wild. A giant snow.
So cool. So they first are going to make the visual caramels because the female double het isn't old enough yet to breed. So you're going to see the double hets, and then you're also going to see the caramels first.
So caramels het for snow?
They're going to be pos het.
Oh, that's going to be tough without... I mean, I guess and then you would keep all those back and maybe raise all those out.
Yeah, probably. They'd probably sell a couple, but, you can just figure out what you think is a het and what you can't. Because some, hets, you kind of show through a little. It's not a thing, but, you can kind of tell.
Are anacondas like that, or are you just talking about snakes in general, or have they seen in anacondas?
You can, just in general, you can kind of see hets show through on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I got way into the chat.
Oh.
The chat is way off subject.
Usually is.
We're talking about feminism.
Oh no.
And Lilypad said feminists are crazy, and I had to tell her I'm a feminist. And we got into the because we were talking about women in the industry, and Raven was saying, Megan, I totally understand what you're saying, because Raven owns a vape store, which not saying vape and snakes are the same, but she said she gets judged automatically because she's a woman. She said she's had people walk into the store, notice the owner is a woman, and walk out.
But those are douchey guys who vape, right?
I don't know anything about.
Sorry if anyone
world.
Vapes out there.
But I think there's double standards against women being bosses in any situation, and it's Megan, how do we get more women into this industry?
Make them not afraid of stuff. Women seem to be a lot more scared of reptiles and stuff, which makes no sense. Because it's kind of people expect a girl to be scared of them, when it's all kind of how you're raised. If you're raised around certain things, you're not going to be afraid of it.
Of those things, which is it's just society. Like you said, how we raise girls. If you're into that stuff, society paints you as a tomboy,
right?
And so then you're less of a girl.
But guys also like danger, and they like things that are not they like to have a snake and scare someone. It's like a little kid.
They like the scare aspect of it.
True. A girl who would have a snake would want to take care of it. A little boy wants to fucking put it in your bed and fuck with you.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think little boys just, I think little boys are just wired to be in the dirt and fuck around and do all that kind of stuff.
Society wired them that way.
Society, man.
Evolution.
That was me as a kid. I was playing in the dirt.
Yeah, see, there's those girls out there.
I grew up kind of doing guy shit. I grew up playing ice hockey, so I was kind of always somewhat of a tomboy.
That's intense.
Oh, yeah.
Does it gets that cold?
California,
in LA?
No. Let me understand. Modern technology. Have you ever seen a refrigerator or a freezer?
We've
learned how to manipulate temperature.
In states where it doesn't get that cold, it's just not a thing.
We went ice skating here in Dallas.
But ice hockey teams are not a thing here in Texas, Louisiana. Mississippi, ice hockey teams aren't a thing. As far as at the young level, they're not. No. They're not a thing. In high school, all the high schools in my state, there was an ice hockey teams.
I mean, I live in California, and they had ice hockey teams.
There you go.
Well, in the deep south where it's hot, we don't have
where
those.
You have no teeth.
We also don't have lax bros because that's a thing in the north.
No, they have that in California too.
In California, it's different.
Yeah.
But like in the South, we don't play lacrosse that much. It's not a thing. Okay,
It's a thing.
this is not about
Rodents.
Sorry, this is not. That's my beer. Are we going to get more beer after this?
Yeah. Probably.
Okay. Ah, that's
Jesus
scared me.
Christ.
Okay. Well, it is. We are at 2 hours, so get in this unless you have other questions.
So obviously you have babies that Elle just had. So are they started yet, and are you ready to sell them?
I'm taking deposits on them. They haven't shed yet, and I haven't offered them food yet because I wait for them to shed mostly. I will try and offer them a rat pup, and if they take it, then But I do wait for them to go through that first process of eating a couple meals and shedding before I let them go. But I do take deposits on them just to hold them because they do go pretty fast.
How many feeds do you typically wait?
Usually about 3 to 4.
And is that transitioned fully to rodents, or you still offer them once they're on chicks?
I try and offer them rodents when they're still on chicks, and I sell them when they're still on chicks. But I usually try and do the first 2 meals with live, and then I try and switch them to frozen thawed, like the first second, or the second and third and fourth. I can't talk.
Okay, and I don't even know like the price range of an anaconda.
Between 1,000 and 1,200.
Okay. Wow. And then are females more expensive than males?
Yeah, usually, because a lot more people we seem to want females. At least in the beginning they did because they get bigger. But I've had a lot more people wanting males right now, which is very odd.
So after the Lacey Act, when you said you saw that like big jump, like okay, originally it was like 1,000 to 1,200. Like how much did they jump?
They jumped from wild caughts being $100 to you can't get them anymore. Where captive bred ones were like 400, 450. And I was the first one to have babies, so I kind of set the price in a way, and I was selling them for 800 at the time. And then from there, Nerd had them, and the price went up to 1,000 to 1,200. And then people who had, because the Lacey Act stopped it from people getting them into Texas. Whoever bred them in Texas actually sold them for like 1,500, and sold them inside Texas.
I mean,
damn,
that makes sense though. I mean, that's what's nice about like Australian pythons. We're never going to have more of them come in, so the supply is always in our control. So it's like my jungles will always be worth a certain amount because it's not brought down by wild caught. So it's like I've been really into Amazon tree boas lately. So it's like you can get those for $25 wild caught, but it's like, so in order for you to breed captive born, it takes a bunch of time and effort, and then you can't even sell them for that much. So people just buy $25 wild caught ones. So I think that's really healthy as far as people respecting the animal. So it's like,
it also stops.
I'm glad
impulse buying stuff because they can afford $100. They're not going to be able to afford like its proper caging and stuff like that if you're doing it on impulse buy. Like there are some people who did get the animal for that price and then took really well care of it, but a lot of people who just kind of are like know the stereotype of them, see it and like, oh, I can afford that right now, and it's an impulse thing. So that's come away from, which is a good in an aspect because they do get so big and you do have to know what you're doing when they are that size.
Yeah, you certainly wean out the bullshit when it's over $1,000.
Do you think it's harder to do the weaning and the vetting in reptile shows?
At reptile shows, yes, because there's a lot going on and people are usually asking you questions about the animal more than like you can like do that. And also with like if you're selling over online, you can kind of like, I guess, stalk them to figure out things too. Where you can't do that in person.
Sometimes you look at someone's profile, you're like, I don't trust this fucking guy.
Guy the other day try and buy one, and he had like 1 follower and like a blank profile. I was like, no.
Yeah.
And there was another guy in Mexico who was like trying to get me to sell him. I kept telling him no, and he just and then he said, fuck you, because I told him no.
That's an undercover agent trying to get you to sneak them across the border or some shit.
I'm very careful with who I sell to, and I do try and like ask as many questions as I can before I sell and make sure they're prepared for what they're knowing.
No, do you do that at all with your ball pythons?
I haven't sold any ball pythons.
Okay, never mind.
Right now.
I'm sure that's definitely an issue though, as far as like agents trying to get you, like Fish and Wildlife trying to get you to do something illegal because it is an anaconda.
Yeah, like the first time I was selling because the Lacey Act thing was happening, you couldn't sell to Texas or Florida, so you would get a lot of people that had like fake profiles. It looked like trying to get you to ship there, just to get you to do it, and so like that is something you still kind of have to look out for depending on where you're shipping to, because there are some states that don't allow you to own them, but it is legal for you to ship them. But I still don't like to ship to those states, so I won't sell to certain people if I know their laws, don't let them have them.
Yeah. I think some people like say do your due diligence and know your state laws before purchasing, but it's really kind of the person who's selling that should know that prior.
That too. It should be like both people knowing, because like if the person doesn't know their own laws and you tell them to look it up, they'll look it up and some will be like, oh, I can't have it. And then there's also the person selling who is like, I know you can't have it here, so I'm not going to sell to you. So it's like on both people's end.
Yeah. Or yeah, people who don't give a fuck. Like, I mean, for me, it's corn snakes you can't sell in Georgia, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's like
so stupid.
Yeah, but I did buy a corn snake about a year ago, and the guy was in South Carolina, and it showed up with a Georgia return address, which is always fucking great.
That's at all.
Wait, repeat that. Sorry, it cut out.
Very suspicious at all.
Yeah.
But people then at the same time, that I'm okay with because it's a dumb law. But it's a dumb law.
It's a dumb law, but still, don't get me involved in your bullshit.
True.
Yeah. So.
Okay, this is kind of a off-topic question. I don't even know if she was asking it to y'all, but it's lily pad, so all of her questions get asked. She said, do you think there is a need for more exotic pet vets? Because that's what she wants to be when she's a grown-up.
Good exotic vets out there, because a lot of them do both, and they're not really specialized in exotics too much, and they give a lot of wrong information to people trying to seek help, and actually ends up hurting the animal more. There's a lot more people I know who know what's wrong with the animal than of taking it to a vet would know. But there are like some people that are very good at who do specialize in just vets or exotic.
Specializing in vets.
If you find an exotic vet that's good, it's like gold. Like there's way too many people who, because you can't make money specializing in reptiles, there's just not enough money to be made. You need the people with dogs and stuff like that. It would be very rare. You'd have to be in a perfect spot in order to make your whole practice, revolve around exotic pets. So they're really a dime a dozen. So I think you really need those. And like a good exotic vet I knew, he like worked the zoos and stuff like that. So that's like another route. But even when he's working the zoos, he does big cats, he does birds, he does reptiles. There's no one doing just reptiles, looking into all the science, which is very sparse on just reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Like the science is sparse, the vets are sparse, everything.
Because I think to have a vet who specializes in reptiles, it takes a lot of their own initiative. Like there's not like school to go to for that. Like it would take them reading all the books, them reading all their research. If you made a market for yourself, you wouldn't be poor. If you found a hotspot snake place.
If you were in Dallas, which is like the most populated
which is a hotspot, right? Like everyone would come to you if you were just a reptile
right, but there's
vet.
still only 20 of us.
Okay, California.
There's a lot of us.
Thank you. If you go to California and you're only a reptile vet. But like I said,
but then cost of living is 20 times higher than it is everywhere else. So it's like then you have to make even more money.
Move out of California.
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that.
That California is very expensive, just like you were saying, and I can't wait to move out of California.
Wait, really? Where would you move to?
Maryland. That's where my boyfriend lives.
Oh, and that's where the retics and
Girl,
stuff
that's
are.
super long distance.
But that's also a hotbed. That's a good place to be.
Okay, we're having two different conversations.
Well, yeah, you're talking about like life, and I'm talking about.
Wait,
reptiles.
but how do you like share? How do you do combined projects when he's in Maryland?
Most of my retics are here. Like the breeders are here.
Are you in Maryland right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
That's
intense.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been. We live in Texas, and I'm from New York, so the reason why I moved from New York to pretty much anywhere else is because it's too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, California. I grew up in California, so I kind of like am adapted to the living situation, but I still hate it. I hate how many people there are just jam-packed into one tiny state. I grew up like that, and I've always been more like an outdoor person, so being in Maryland.
Which is not LA, or at least my version of LA.
Yeah. LA, it's just houses and buildings everywhere. You go pretty much anywhere else, it's not.
So do you think that move is going to affect your collection at all, or no?
I don't think so. If you do it right, it shouldn't. So
You going in one shot? Because I moved from New York to Colorado, and that my whole thing was like not taking as much time. I went like 30 hours straight. If you move, are you going as fast as you can from? There's
no way you can do that in one trip.
Straight up 2 days.
I think I would do. I mean, I'd obviously do it with someone else, so like we'd switch off driving. So probably try and go all the way.
Damn,
that's a good plan. I like it.
That's
between, so we can like stop at places, like have a destination to stop for a day.
Okay, so see, she would stop. See, he's trying to.
I'm not stopping for shit.
He's trying to. Well, we're planning to move. Oh wait, sorry. You talk.
It's an option to like stop because you like meeting reptile people. They're all over the country. So it just depends on what states you're going through. You can stop at certain places.
Well, I'm glad you say that because this one acts like it's not even an option to stop anywhere.
It's not an option.
We're moving to Philadelphia, which I'm pretty sure is like 21 hours, and he's like, "I'm driving it straight. I'm not stopping at all." Da-da-da-da-da.
Don't fall asleep, and you can probably do it.
I am fine. It's just I don't like things like my green tree or my olive. If something happened, man, if I can keep them 70 the whole time, then that's fine. I'm sure they'll be fine. But I want to keep it in that window of like I'm comfortable with shipping an animal overnight. It being in the box for like 24 hours. So I want to keep them being in their state moving for that long. So
put the heat pack that you would use for shipping in there too, which would regulate that.
Yeah, that's what I usually run heat tape in a like in a Tupperware type of big storage bin with thermostats on them. So that's what I did.
Wait, how do you run with heat tape?
Well, you plug it. I got an adapter for the car that plugs in a wall thing with a thermostat. So I'm just crazy, man, I guess.
I think the smarter option is to stop.
But my snakes aren't 15 feet long, so I don't know. It's different.
Another way to do big snakes is you delta them. Since, my boyfriend already lives here, he has cages and stuff ready, so I can just ship him like delta dash, and he can get them and set them up and have them set up.
Is that super expensive?
It's actually not that bad.
Okay.
So,
would you have to like wood crate something that big?
No, you can buy like big enough like plastic tubs. You just have to zip tie them shut or like latch them and lock them and stuff like that.
Oh, really? So there's no insulation. It would just be a plastic tub that you put a shipping label on?
In there to keep the heat. So, I mean, you still have to pack it like you would normally pack it. It's just a different outside container. The inside would be the same as like how you pack a baby snake you're shipping overnight.
Okay. Yeah, I never thought of that.
We should look into that so you don't have to drive 21 hours straight.
No.
But I guess, we don't have a way. We don't have someone already there.
It's also like
receive.
a 6-hour flight. However, well, for me, it's a 6-hour flight for them to do that. So it's a lot quicker than driving them there.
But then how would your car get there?
Drive my car.
No, she's saying she would put the animals on a 6-hour flight, Delta Dash.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I thought you were saying you'd like fly with them.
I mean, I could. I don't technically need a car to go with. I can get a new car, sell my old one.
That's a big move. Cool. East Coast. That's so like you're. Yeah, that's intense, but cool. I like it because we'll be on the East Coast ish. Philadelphia's not East Coast.
6 hours.
Wait, I'm sorry, it cut out.
Philly is. You guys said you're moving to Philly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 hours from where I am right now. So it's not.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's cool about the East Coast is that like Philly, New York, DC, it's all kind of, especially in the reptile community, they're all pretty close to each other as far as like the people from Maryland will go to Hamburg.
Right.
Or the people from Philly will go to White Plains. So it's all kind of within a nice little hotspot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this area too. Like it's really weird how like everyone it seems
It's populated.
like everyone's like so compact in this small area where there's just a bunch of people.
Isn't the Godfather up there?
No, the Godfather's in Washington.
Oh,
people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, she doesn't, but everyone else does. Sorry. Godfather is Nick Mutton.
Okay.
Because
he breeds carpet, but no one outside the carpet community. That's what like it's so sectionalized as far as like my world, but like even Megan's in a different world than I am. So it's like I'm in carpet world and corn snake world, and she's in anaconda world and retic world.
So they don't know Nick Mutton.
Do you know Nick Mutton?
I don't know. I don't.
See, and everyone is
blasphemy. She doesn't know the Godfather.
Everyone in the hobby, like I kind of just keep to myself. I don't like learn who everyone is in a way. So it's like if I see them on Facebook, I'll kind of remember the name, but I don't really remember who they are.
Do you know who Theportcitypythons is?
Oh god.
Okay.
We're not a big deal, man.
No, we're not 60,000 followers on Instagram, that's for sure. We're not.
You're so jealous.
I'm super jealous. I'm not trying to hide my jealousy.
I don't give a shit. See, that's a weird thing. You give a shit. I don't.
Yeah. I want my name in lights.
Right. But I do all the work.
No, not on Instagram. You don't do all Instagram
fuck
work.
Out of here. I keep these animals alive. So
yeah, I'm just saying you don't do all the work on Instagram. You do all the work in real life. Sorry. We shouldn't put this on the air. Okay.
Megan doesn't even try, and she's better at you than Instagram. Anyway, thank you so much for being on, Megan. If anyone wants to reach you, where can they reach you?
In my Facebook page or email, which is also on my Facebook page or Instagram.
She barely wants to talk to you. She doesn't care. But she has snakes for sale, so hit her up.
Yeah.
When you have snakes for sale, where will you put them up?
I post them on all my social media, but I mainly just do Instagram and Facebook.
So do you do a lot of sales through Instagram?
Yeah, for the most part. Like I have my emails on there, so a lot of people email me for it. I'm very bad at checking like my DMs, so it's not always the best way to get in contact with me.
Yeah, I understand that. I wouldn't try to buy a snake through Instagram. I don't know, it just doesn't seem the right avenue.
No.
Yeah, it's not very professional.
Even though Facebook's not better, but in my head, Facebook seems more legit to buy a snake. I don't know why.
On Facebook and they message the page, it's kind of it's better than going like straight to someone's like personal profile, which I'm also very bad at checking. So I mainly just email and just the messages on Facebook.
What's shitty is that now your business page, if you don't answer it, it tells everyone that you don't answer all your messages. So like you have to answer them.
Oh, it says that now?
Oh yeah, if we don't answer within like 2 hours, we get a message like Port City Pythons, keep up your response rate by answering this within the next hour.
And then on your page it will say you respond to 90% of messages within a day, like if you respond too slow.
I remember, yeah. I don't care. Because a lot of what I get is also, you know, people like
bullshit.
Just bullshit stuff. But there's also been people who just get mad at me for no reason, so I won't answer them. Or I'll just them. Or you'll get people who, you know, say fuck you because you won't sell them something, so you won't answer them. So it's a big variety of why. There's reasons why you don't answer, and there's reasons like you just missed it or you saw it and forgot about it.
Right, which is really annoying that it tracks it though, because like people aren't always asking like pertinent questions. It's like stupid shit.
People don't always deserve an answer.
Right, so we shouldn't be like tracked for not answering dumb shit.
To answer every single thing.
Yeah, but that's Facebook for you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for being on and taking your time to talk to us.
No
Girl power.
It was fun.
She really wanted like girls on here, and then like we got 2 girls in a row. So there you go.
I know. Now we probably won't have a girl for like 4 months, but it's okay.
It's a snake world, man.
I can always come back. I have my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Retics too.
We'll have to have your boyfriend on to talk a male perspective on retics.
No, both of them.
Because males are more educated in the hobby and they're better than females, and they just do snakes better. That's fact.
Sure.
Wait, I don't know what Lilypad's saying. Sorry, Lilypad just saying our names.
It's just getting weird. But
she said, "Do you need a certification to breed?" We already talked about this, Lilypad. It depends on the state and where you are and where you live. We don't know about Florida.
Theportcitypythons.
You do need.
Wait, go on.
You do need a permit in Florida to breed.
You need a permit to own them and to breed.
I bet you Lilypad doesn't have a permit.
Oh, Lilypad.
Yep.
Oh. Like
she is a ball python.
Ball pythons, I don't think you do.
Okay. So she's in the clear. Okay. For real ending this time, you already said where to check us out. Tomorrow, this will be on SoundCloud.
But if you're listening to this, that doesn't really mean anything because you already listened to it. So.
Oh.
If you're listening to this, you already downloaded it on SoundCloud, which will be uploaded tomorrow when you downloaded it. So now you're listening to us talk about you downloading it tomorrow. Right?
Right.
That's fucking meta.
But we're also telling Megan that it's going to be there. She may not know.
Oh, Megan, just so you know, if you want to re-listen to yourself talking.
No, she wants to like tell her boyfriend where it is or any of her 60,000
You're
followers.
Such a fucking slimy slime ball.
1,000 followers on Instagram.
No fucking.
Got it there.
I mean,
you're slimy.
Thank
you guys so much for listening. Fuck off.
Okay, bye, y'all.
Thank you guys.
Bye.